Welcome back to this new episode of Aladdin's Global Adventure. And for this episode, we're going to be showcasing a very interesting e-commerce vertical sector champion that everybody could enjoy from their daily lives. Genesing. Beneath those trendy clothes and killer deals is a story of soaring highs, unexpected challenges, and some seriously strategic maneuvering. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Shein's story is a fascinating example of how quickly fortunes can change in the fast-paced world of e-commerce. It's a real roller coaster ride.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our sources paint a picture of dramatic shifts in Shein's trajectory. We're seeing reports of slowing growth in 2024, a stark contrast to their explosive rise during the pandemic. What's driving this slowdown?
Well, it's not just one factor, it's a confluence of events. First, the competitive landscape has intensified. Rivals like Temu, with their unbelievably low prices, are grabbing market share. And then there's TikTok, leveraging its social media dominance to directly influence shopping habits, especially among younger consumers.
So it's like a David and Goliath situation, with Shein, now the giant, facing a swarm of nimble competitors.
Precisely. And while they're battling these new rivals, Shein is also grappling with some self-inflicted challenges. Their ambitious expansion into new product categories like home goods and electronics is proving to be a costly endeavor. They're having to offer heavy subsidies to attract sellers and customers, and that's eating into their profits.
It's like they're trying to be the one-stop shop for everything, but spreading themselves a bit thin in the process.
Yes, and this brings us to another critical factor: the soaring cost of air freight. Shein's reliance on Southern Airlines, with its hub in China, has become a vulnerability. Air freight rates have increased by 30 to 70% this year, squeezing their margins.
Ouch, a 70% increase. That's gotta hurt. But they're not just sitting back and taking it, are they? What strategic moves is Shein making to counter these challenges and regain its momentum?
They're not going down without a fight. One interesting tactic is their increased reliance on the semi-consignment model. Think of it as a partnership where local merchants handle sourcing, warehousing, and even shipping, leveraging their on-the-ground expertise. This reduces Shein's overhead and lessens their dependence on expensive air freight.
So it's a win-win. Shein gets to offload some of the costs and risks, and local merchants get access to Shein's massive platform.
Exactly. It's a clever way to tap into local knowledge and navigate those tricky global supply chain issues. Another strategic play is the cultivation of sub-brands. They're trying to broaden their appeal beyond just ultra-cheap, fast fashion. They've got Romway for the younger, trend-driven crowd, Mott for more sophisticated styles, and even Glow Mode, an activewear line that's taking aim at Lululemon, but at a fraction of the price.
Wow, going head-to-head with Lululemon, that's a bold move. It sounds like they're trying to shed that cheap and disposable image and appeal to a wider range of consumers. Do you think this strategy will pay off?
It's a gamble, for sure. It remains to be seen whether they can convince shoppers that they can deliver quality and style along with affordability. But they are seeing some early wins. Their expansion into footwear and bags has been quite successful, and their menswear lines are showing promise, especially in the outdoor and athletic categories.
Interesting. So they're trying to diversify their offerings and reach a wider audience, all while navigating these external pressures. Our sources also point to Southeast Asia as a potential new frontier for Shein, but it sounds like a very crowded and competitive market.
It is, and this is where their signature low-price strategy might not be as effective. Southeast Asia is already home to a plethora of local brands offering trendy clothes at rock-bottom prices. Shein won't be able to rely on their usual playbook of undercutting the competition.
So what's their plan for cracking this tough market? Are they going to try to adapt their strategy, or are they sticking to their guns?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Our experts suggest that they're exploring a more localized approach. They're testing the waters with collaborations with local influencers, adapting product lines to better suit regional preferences, and even considering partnerships with established Southeast Asian retailers.
So it's a bit of a departure from their usual go-it-alone strategy.
Yeah.
They're realizing that to win in this market, they need to play by different rules.
Exactly. It's a recognition that what works in one part of the world may not translate to another. They're going to have to be more nimble and adaptable if they want to conquer this new territory.
So we've got this image of Shein as this unstoppable force, but it sounds like they're facing a lot of headwinds. They're dealing with new competitors, rising costs, and the challenges of expanding into new markets and product categories. It's a lot to juggle.
It is. And it's a reminder that even the most successful companies are vulnerable to disruption. The e-commerce landscape is constantly evolving, and companies that fail to adapt risk being left behind.
Speaking of vulnerability, Our sources revealed a rather interesting dynamic between Shein and their primary air freight carrier, Southern Airlines. We mentioned those sky-high air freight costs that are eating into Shein's profits. Well, it turns out that Southern Airlines is reaping the benefits. Their profits have soared by almost 50% this year, largely due to those higher freight rates.
Yes, it's almost ironic. Shein's efforts to maintain low prices and fast shipping are inadvertently boosting the profits of their shipping partner.
It's a classic case of one company's pain being another's gain. But it also highlights a potential risk for Shein. Being so reliant on a single carrier puts them at a disadvantage. If Southern Airlines continues to raise rates, or if there are disruptions in their service, Shein's entire business model could be impacted.
That's a crucial point. It underlines the importance of diversification and flexibility in global supply chains. It'll be interesting to see if Shein takes steps to reduce their dependence on Southern Airlines, perhaps by exploring alternative shipping methods or partnering with additional carriers.
Right. Because if they can't deliver on their promise of low prices and fast shipping, their whole model starts to crumble.
Exactly. And that's where their investment in the semi-consignment model becomes even more strategic. By shifting some of the responsibility for logistics to local merchants, they're creating a more agile and resilient supply chain.
So they're trying to turn a weakness into a strength. It's a fascinating case study in how companies need to constantly adapt and innovate to survive in the global marketplace.
It is, and it's a reminder that even giants like Shein aren't immune to the forces of change. It certainly is a survival of the fittest out there. And speaking of survival, let's take a closer look at how these companies are structured to weather the storms of the fashion world. Their business models are key to understanding their successes and challenges.
Okay, let's get under the hood and see what makes them tick. Shein, we know, has been a pioneer of the fast fashion model, pumping out trendy designs at lightning speed. How does that translate to their business structure?
Well, Shein's built on that classic vertically integrated model. They control most steps of the process, from design and manufacturing to distribution and sales, primarily through their website and app. This gives them incredible control over costs, speed, and trends, letting them react really quickly to what's hot.
So they're like the ultimate fashion control freaks, in a good way, of course. It's a model that has served them well, but it also comes with its own set of challenges, especially as they try to branch out into new categories where they might not have that same level of expertise or control.
Exactly. Now contrast that with Temu. They've adopted a marketplace model similar to Amazon or eBay. They connect buyers and sellers, taking a commission on each sale. This keeps their overhead super low, allowing them to focus on attracting a wide range of sellers and offering those incredibly low prices.
So Temu is more of a facilitator, creating a platform for others to compete on price and variety. It's a completely different approach than Shein's vertically integrated model, but it seems to be working for them, at least for now.
It is. And then you have TikTok, which is a bit of a hybrid. Their primary revenue stream is advertising, leveraging their massive user base and addictive algorithm. But they're increasingly blurring the lines between social media and e-commerce.
Right. We're seeing more and more shoppable videos and live streams popping up on TikTok. They're becoming a powerful force in influencing what people buy, especially among younger generations.
Precisely. They're not just a platform for entertainment, they're becoming a shopping destination. And they're experimenting with different e-commerce models, partnering with brands and retailers, and even dabbling in direct sales through their app. It's a fascinating evolution to watch.
It is. Now let's talk about the audiences these companies are trying to reach. Shein built its empire on appealing to young, fashion-conscious women who love trendy clothes and affordable prices. Are they sticking to that core demographic, or are they trying to broaden their appeal?
Oh, they're definitely trying to expand their reach. While young women remain their core customer base, they're branching out. You see them in menswear, plus-size clothing, even children's clothing. They're recognizing that to maintain their growth, they need to appeal to a wider range of consumers.
So they're trying to become a more inclusive brand, catering to different ages, sizes, and styles.
Exactly. Temu, on the other hand, is going for a much broader appeal. Their unbelievably low prices attract bargain hunters from all walks of life. They're not targeting a specific demographic, they're targeting anyone who loves a good deal.
It's like the Walmart of fast fashion.
You could say that. And then you have TikTok, which by its very nature has a massive and diverse audience. They reach billions of people around the world, and their algorithm does a remarkable job of tailoring content to individual users' interests.
So they're able to micro-target consumers with incredibly specific interests and preferences. It's a marketer's dream.
It is.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about how these companies are getting the word out about their products and services. Their marketing strategies are crucial to their success.
Right. Marketing is key, especially in the crowded world of fashion. Shein has been incredibly successful with its social media marketing, building massive followings on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. They're masters of generating buzz and creating viral trends.
Yes, they've been very savvy about leveraging the power of social media to reach their target audience. They understand the importance of visual appeal, influencer marketing, and creating a sense of community around their brand.
And it's working. They've managed to create a loyal following that eagerly awaits their new releases and jumps on the latest trends. What about Temu? How are they getting the word out about their ridiculously low prices?
Well, Temu is using a multi-pronged approach. They're leveraging online advertising, social media marketing, and email campaigns to reach potential customers. But they're also relying heavily on word-of-mouth marketing.
So they're hoping that their incredibly low prices will speak for themselves and that satisfied customers will spread the word.
Exactly. It's a classic let the product do the talking strategy. And it seems to be working. They've experienced rapid growth, fueled in part by organic buzz and social media sharing.
And what about TikTok? Well, they've got a built-in marketing machine with their platform, right?
They do. Their algorithm is constantly pushing content to users based on their interests and engagement patterns. But they're not just relying on their algorithm, they're also actively partnering with brands and influencers to create sponsored content and promote products directly to their users.
So they're essentially turning their platform into a giant shopping mall where users can discover new products, watch product reviews, and even make purchases without ever leaving the app.
It's a brilliant strategy, and it's putting them in a very powerful position. They have the ability to reach billions of users and influence their purchasing decisions in a way that few other platforms can match.
It's fascinating to see how these companies are balancing ambition with responsibility, trying to navigate the ethical minefield of the fashion industry. But let's zoom back in on Shein and their challenges. Our sources reveal a fascinating situation. Their aggressive expansion into new categories, home goods, electronics, beauty, isn't exactly a smooth runway.
Right, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because Shein's known for clothing, right? Yet their expansion efforts haven't yielded, uniform success. Footwear and bags are booming. Menswear, especially in the outdoor and athletic segments, shows real promise. But home goods, electronics, those are lagging behind.
It's like they hit the accelerator on diversification but forgot to check if all the tires were properly inflated. What's causing this uneven performance? Is it just a matter of time, or are there deeper issues at play?
Well, our experts suggest a couple of factors. First, consumer perception. People associate Shein with, well, trendy, affordable clothing. But electronics or home decor, not so much. Building that trust in new areas, that takes time. And consumer habits, those are hard to change.
Makes sense. Imagine walking into like a fast food burger joint expecting gourmet sushi. You'd be skeptical, right?
Ah,
Even if they swore it was top-notch.
exactly. Then there's the supply chain factor. See, Shein's dominance in apparel comes from these deep ties with clothing manufacturers, right? Like a finely tuned machine they've built over years. Electronics. They lack that same network of dedicated suppliers, making it harder to control quality, costs, and speed.
Ah, so they're venturing outside their comfort zone, supply chain-wise.
Yeah.
That could be a recipe for disaster if they're not careful. What about the competition in these new categories? It's already fierce.
Yeah, that's another major hurdle. Giants like Amazon already dominate those spaces, right? They've got the infrastructure, the customer base, the brand recognition. Shein's entering late to the game, and simply offering similar products, even at lower prices, might not be enough to sway those loyal customers.
It's like trying to crash a party that's already in full swing. You need a really compelling reason for people to pay attention to you. And speaking of parties that are in full swing, let's not forget about those air freight costs that are putting a damper on Shein's profits. They're heavily reliant on Southern Airlines, and those costs have skyrocketed.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just that air freight became more expensive, it's who's benefiting the most. While Southern Airlines sales rose about 12%, their profit jumped almost 50%.
Oh, so essentially Shein's pain is Southern Airlines' gain. It seems like a rather one-sided relationship.
It appears so, at least in part. This reliance on a single air carrier puts Shein in a very vulnerable position. What happens if Southern Airlines keeps raising rates? Or if there are disruptions in their service? It raises an important question. How sustainable is this model long-term?
It's a crucial point, especially if Shein wants to keep prices low while expanding globally. And speaking of global, we have to talk about Southeast Asia. Our sources indicate Shein has big plans there, but it might be their toughest challenge yet.
Indeed. Here's where that price-focused strategy might backfire. See, Southeast Asia is already flooded with local brands offering trendy, super cheap clothing. Shein's lowest price, crown, might not shine as brightly there.
So they can't just waltz in and expect to dominate based on price alone. What's their game plan? Are they going to try to out-cheap the competition, or are they exploring a different approach?
Well, it seems they're acknowledging the need for a new playbook. Our expert mentioned they're trying to build stronger ties with local influencers, adapting product lines to better suit local tastes, and even exploring partnerships with established Southeast Asian retailers.
So a more nuanced, localized strategy.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but it also sounds like a significant departure from their usual playbook. They're known for being aggressive, fast-moving, and independent. This seems more collaborative and patient.
It is, and it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. Will they successfully adapt to this new landscape, or will they stumble? Can they balance their global ambitions with the need for, local sensitivity? Only time will tell.
Intriguing stuff. So what does all this mean for Shein? They're facing some serious headwinds. Slowing growth, challenges with new categories, air freight woes, and a potentially brutal battle in Southeast Asia. What's the takeaway for our listeners? What can they learn from Shein's story?
Well, I think it's a powerful reminder that even the most successful companies have to constantly adapt and evolve. Shein's story isn't over, it's just entering a new chapter. How they navigate these obstacles will determine their future success. Will they be able to regain their momentum, or will they become another cautionary tale of a company that failed to adapt to a changing world?
It's a story that's still being written, and it highlights a key point about global business. One size rarely fits all. Shein can't just export its success formula to different markets and expect the same results. They need to tailor their approach to the unique dynamics of each region.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe these challenges will push them to innovate even further, leading to a more sustainable and resilient business model. It's certainly a story worth watching.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even in the fast-paced world of fashion and e-commerce, there are valuable lessons to be learned about adaptability, resilience, and the importance of balancing global ambition with local sensitivity. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Shein. That's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.